Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the Russia-Ukraine war. We've got tons of things to update you on here today. We're going to talk about Ukraine, primarily Kharkiv in the beginning of this video. As you can see in the video footage, Kharkiv has come under a massive glide bomb attack here just in the last few hours today. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. I've got some updates coming out from the Kursk region. I've got updates regarding that F-16 that crashed in Ukraine yesterday. Tons of different things to talk about. So I want to go ahead and get this video started instead of wasting your time here. So let's go ahead and start talking about some of the latest details here. So again, Kharkiv has come under attack. We also have multiple other regions. The Sumy region has been bombed, and also major hits in the Donetsk region as well. And we know that the Donetsk region is definitely a hot zone right now. Major fighting and clashes between the Russians and Ukraine right now. And we know the Ukrainians are struggling very hard to hold back the Russians near Pokrovsk. We've been talking about that key town that's very close to the Russians gaining a foothold there, okay? So we'll talk some more about that today. So let's go ahead and get started with Kharkiv here. So Kharkiv came under attack heavily just in a few hours ago in the time that I record this actually. Multiple guided aerial bombs dropping all over Kharkiv. We've got a high-rise building that you can see here that's been struck. You can see the debris falling from the top of this building as it's on fire. I'll show you guys the actual video footage because I understand it's a small video. You can't see everything going on there. But yeah, we've got multiple cars that have caught on fire. So again, I don't know exactly what the objective here was for Russia to start bombing Kharkiv, but we've seen this many times, okay? Kharkiv, when they come under attack, it's usually some sort of civilian infrastructure, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy is very upset by this. And let me tell you this, it's going to take many people to lose their lives, many innocent people, before the United States or any other country start stepping up and saying, you know what, okay, go ahead and start going after these airfields. It's obviously a major threat to your country. It's going to require a lot of innocent people to unfortunately die, guys. That's just the way that it is. And we're starting to see the build up to that right now. And I'm going to show you more information coming out from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, pushing for the U.S. to allow them to start striking these airfields. Okay, a lot of people are getting very upset by this. And this has been going on for a very long time. So let's go ahead and jump into the news over here on X. I've got several things to discuss here with you today. Next to reports breaking, the Russians are attacking Kharkiv with aerial bombs right now. Authorities say heavy explosions are being heard in the city. There are also reports that in parts of the city lost electricity. One of the blows hit the central part of the city, the civilian infrastructure. Information about the destruction and victims is being clarified, writes the mayor. So I'll talk to you guys some more as we keep moving here about some of the victims that their lives have been taken in these attacks. But we are having a lot of people, unfortunately, dying in these attacks all over Ukraine. So here's a little photo of where these attacks are taking place. So a lot of them are here in the Kharkiv region. Just today, and we have some attacks in the Donetsk region as well that we will discuss as we keep moving here. So let's go ahead and go to our next update from Bliskovka. Kharkiv mayor reports a hit on a 12-story residential building, UPD, in Shilyansky, I think is how we say that district. Occupants killed a child in a playground, okay? So a kid was literally just in a playground playing. I believe it was near this residential building. And unfortunately, one child lost their life in this attack. This is from Terekov that reported that. At least 3 other people in the area were wounded. In the industrial district, 2 people have already died in a burning high-rise building. Okay, so very unfortunate, guys. Again, we do have some casualties here, including a child. So definitely a horrible story to have to report, but I need to share these details with you guys. That way you know what's going on over here in Ukraine. They have been pummeled this entire week, okay? Basically, since Monday, they've been under attack almost every single day. Kyiv coming under attack. Multiple cities, major cities all over Ukraine just being hammered by Russian missiles, drones, glide bombs, everything, okay? Russia is very upset right now, and they are going to continue this, I think, until basically this war ends. I think we're going to see major attacks taking place all over Ukraine almost every single day. So here we go. We got some video footage coming out from The Informant. A Russian bombing in Kharkiv killed 5 people and injured 28, including children. The attack resulted in a fire and a partial collapse of a 12-story building. Initially, 4 deaths were confirmed, including that of a girl, but the death toll was updated to 5. Okay, so we've got at least 5 people in the Kharkiv region, or Kharkiv city, excuse me, that have unfortunately lost their lives due to this event of the guided aerial bombs dropping all over the city. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of these videos. I believe most of these are pretty short. So let's see what we got here. So this video appears to show the attack soon after it took place. We can clearly see this high-rise building being on fire. I know for sure one 12-story building was hit, but there could have been others due to splash damage that caught on fire and were damaged as well. So again, I don't see what the significance is here of a military strike, but clearly this is a residential and civilian home that was struck here. And again, we've got innocent people that unfortunately lost their life. So let's go to our next video now. All right, very scary, guys. I mean, to me, it looks like the missile probably went through sideways. It probably struck on one side of the building and came out the other, or exploded on the inside. We can see the fire coming out on both sides of this building, even a fire here in some of the debris from the building as it's collapsing and burning, falling to the ground. So this, as far as I know, was from a Russian glide bomb, and we've been talking about these glide bombs for a long time. This is exactly the reason why Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, wants to go after these airfields and destroy them. For one, they've been destroying many munitions depots all over Russia recently. In just the last couple weeks, I probably reported at least 3 of them that have been hit, going up in flames and destroying tons of Russian missiles and glide bombs. But we know, Russia's got so many of these stored everywhere, okay? I don't think they're going to run out of these anytime soon, and they're relatively cheap to produce compared to a missile. So the glide bombs, they're mainly using these to drop all over Ukraine, and we can see how devastating these attacks are, okay? They're very powerful bombs whenever they drop. So let's go to our next video now. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop it there, guys. I mean, obviously extreme horror. We can see a woman somewhere in the background that appears to be crying and screaming. Hopefully it wasn't her family that took this direct hit, but as we can see, guys, major attack here. Very unfortunate for the innocent civilians of Kharkiv who have repeatedly seen this happen for a very long time. Okay, we probably had roughly about a 2 to 4 week pause in the attacks in Kharkiv, but just prior to that, back in, I want to say May, April, we had heavy attacks in Kharkiv all the time. I remember reporting a warehouse. It was like similar to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot if you live in the United States. And we had a building struck like that, and there was lots of innocent people inside of that. And I believe it was a glide bomb or a missile that struck that building as well. So lots and lots of crazy hits all over Kharkiv, guys. I think we've got one more video to check out. Okay, my apologies for the loud car horn there, though it's probably that car that's on fire right here. And, we can definitely see the damage here, okay? Very massive damage on this building. And as far as we know, at least 5 people, again, that have lost their lives due to this attack. So very horrible news, guys. Let's go ahead and keep moving. One more video here from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and he also reported the Russian strike on Kharkiv directly on people on ordinary house. All services are currently engaged in the rescue operation. I thank everyone who is helping to save lives at this moment. The strike was carried out using a Russian guided aerial bomb, which are glide bombs, a strike that could have been prevented if our defense forces had the capability to destroy Russian military aircraft at their bases. We need strong decisions from our partners to stop this terror. This is an absolutely legitimate need. There is no rational reason, to limit Ukraine's defense. We need long-range capabilities and the full implementation of air defense agreements for Ukraine. These are life-saving measures, okay? So again, Volodymyr Zelenskyy coming out and stressing that they need 2 things right now. They need, number one, They need the restrictions to be lifted on all long-range strike capabilities that are being given to them by NATO. They need to be able to go after these airfields, destroy these fighter bombers that are dropping these glide bombs all over Ukraine, and then also obviously destroy their munitions too. But the number one thing is to destroy the aircraft that are dropping the bombs. Okay, they could just keep producing the bombs, but the aircraft is much more difficult for them to produce. So they want to go after these aircraft and destroy them that are dropping these bombs. And then also he says they need air defenses. Okay, so obviously we recently heard they needed something like 5 or more Patriot missile systems to defend their nation. Clearly they don't have enough if we keep having attacks happening inside of Ukraine repeatedly. And then also at the same time, more air defense is definitely a big deal for Ukraine. This is something that they need to defend their skies. So it's another issue as well, because we've been talking a lot about the fact that many weapons deliveries are being delayed from NATO partners. Okay, many NATO nations they'll agree a year in advance. Oh, we're going to be sending you guys Patriot missiles, or we're going to send you whatever, some air defense systems or whatever we're going to be sending you. But then when the time comes, they don't deliver them. And I'm not sure why. There always happens to be some sort of delay or some reason why they can't send them. And then Ukraine ends up not getting this gear. And then how do they defend themselves from these attacks when they aren't getting the supplies that are being agreed upon by other nations to send them? So I completely understand where Volodymyr Zelenskyy is coming on this. So go ahead and take a look at this video, guys. 19 seconds, our last video, as far as I believe, regarding this attack. Okay, so this looks like a neighbor that was nearby when this attack took place. We can see an aerial shot here of these cars that are on fire, and then also the building when it was struck there. So again, it definitely looks like the missile or the guided bomb hit it from the side, most likely. So again, guys, terrible news to have to report, but I wanted you to be aware of this so you know what's happening over here in Ukraine. They are being hammered like crazy almost every single day this week, basically since Monday. And I told you all that this was going to happen. And again, unfortunately, this is going to have to be necessary for many countries around the world to start pushing for Ukraine to be able to go after these airfields. Okay, it's going to take many attacks like this. And unfortunately, at some point, it may take a very devastating attack, much worse than what we're seeing here, for any decisions to be made. But we do know when it comes to long-range strikes that they are working with the United States and their partners right now in NATO to get these agreements set up to be able to start striking Russian airfields and go after multiple targets all over Russia. Okay, so let's move on now. Finally, some pictures here just to go over real quick. The consequences of Russian strikes on Kharkiv. Bliskovka reports the enemy carried out 5 airstrikes in the Belgorod region. The ammunition is PBD-30. Okay, so this is also in Kharkiv as well. And I don't know if this is the same building. It looks like it could be. But we're also hearing that out of Belgorod, the ammunition UMPB D30, I believe these are 220 millimeter. It's some sort of multiple launch rocket system, okay? And it's Soviet-made, Soviet-era type rocket launching system that are 220 millimeter rockets that were also fired, I believe, as well in the Donetsk region, but also here in Kharkiv. So we're definitely seeing lots of this older equipment coming out from Russia, and they're pulling out anything that they've really got. We've seen them pulling out lots of old tanks, lots of old artillery guns that were Soviet era as well. And we're starting to see this, okay? So there's some pictures there for you. Very unfortunate again. And also now on the Donetsk region from Bliskovka, Russians fired at Kharkiv from hurricanes. At least 5 people were injured, Donetsk RMA reports. And the hurricane, as far as I know, is the same thing. These 220 millimeter rockets fired from that Soviet-era self-propelled rocket launching system. There are direct hits to a 3-story residential building, an administrative building, and a shop. And I think we have some pictures in a moment, too. Presumably, people are also under the rubble. The rescue operation is ongoing. So this was in the Donetsk region in Kharkiv, I think is how you pronounce it. Here's some photos from Nexta. Russian troops shelled Kharkiv. There may be people under the rubble, said the head of the regional military administration, Filashkin. According to him, today the city came under fire of MLRS Uragan, which is another name for that same system. There are direct hits in residential 3-story buildings, an administrative building, and a store. So far, it is known about 5 victims. So even in the Donetsk region, coming under heavy attack by rockets, striking some administrative buildings and also a store. Okay, this looks like it might be that store that was hit. So again, lots of civilian infrastructure being devastated here, and this has been happening the entire war with Ukraine. We continue to see the Russians doing this, striking lots of civilian infrastructure. Now, I don't know for sure if maybe there were some troops here in the area, and maybe that's why this attack took place. Who knows? We don't know. But definitely civilian buildings being struck and destroyed by Russian missiles, rockets, things like that. Bliskovka reports again in Sumy, the body of a 37-year-old woman was found under the rubble of an enterprise, Sumy Region Prosecutor's Office said. Also, as a result of the Russian strike, a 48-year-old woman died in a hospital. Previously, 9 people were injured. The company that manufactures packaging for baby food, juices, and household chemicals came under attack. Okay, so even again, civilian infrastructure, warehouses, manufacturing plants coming under attack in Sumy. Sumy is up near the Kursk region right now. That is basically where a lot of Ukrainian forces are building up. They stop there in Sumy before they start to head into the Kursk region. And we've seen lots and lots of strikes lately in Sumy. Not so many pictures or videos. I think the last video I saw coming out from Sumy was maybe about a week ago. We had a parking lot that was right in front of some tall high-rise buildings similar to what we saw there in Kharkiv, that a bunch of cars were struck. And I don't know exactly what the objective there was either, but there was like at least, 5 or 10 cars that were destroyed in an airstrike inside of Sumy just about a week ago. So major hits all over Ukraine, guys. They're taking massive blows right now. So also, Ukrainian armed forces have advanced 2 kilometers in the Kursk region. Another 5 square kilometers have been taken under control. Chief Oleksandr Syrsky reports. So he's the commander of Ukraine's armed forces. That's him on the screen here. Let me play this for you guys. This doesn't really have any English dialogue to it, so we're not really going to pay attention and watch it. But Volodymyr Zelenskyy is here meeting with his security team, and he's also briefed as well by Oleksandr Syrsky. Up on the screen here in just a minute, you'll see him pop up, and he brings some updates. There he is right there, coming out from the Kursk region. And it says here, meanwhile, the occupiers are trying to break through the defenses of our troops in the Pokrovsk direction, but as of this morning, all attacks have been repulsed. Okay, so from what we're hearing from the eastern side of Ukraine, near Pokrovsk, where I've been talking to you guys a lot about this, it looks like they are somewhat holding back the Russians, but what we have seen over the last few weeks is they are continuing to get closer and closer to that key city in Pokrovsk, and we know Ukraine is doing everything they can to hold on to that. So it's definitely very dangerous, okay? Although what's being reported here is Ukraine is taking a little bit more land at a time inside the Kursk region, while at the same time, their front line is basically collapsing on the eastern front, okay? And it's very bad for Ukraine. And to me, the front on the eastern side is way more important than this operation that's being opened up inside of Russia right now. But Volodymyr Zelenskyy would probably not agree with that statement. He comes out very often and says that their plan is going the right direction. This whole Kursk operation is working. So we'll have to see exactly what the plan is at the very end. I mean, I don't know if this has to do with negotiations or whatnot. We've been kind of discussing about that. But definitely some big updates coming out from Kursk right now, and also some updates out of the eastern side of Ukraine. So now we'll talk about this F-16 fighter jet that crashed yesterday. Next, reports the Pentagon is aware of the loss of Ukraine's first F-16 fighter jet, but does not provide assistance in investigating the incident, the agency's Deputy Speaker Sabrina Singh has said. Singh also emphasized that only the Ukrainian side can comment on the issue of the crash, and the Pentagon does not confirm information about the causes of the accident. Yesterday, the Air Force of the AFU reported that pilot Alexei Messi was killed on August 26 while repelling a Russian massive strike. The agency did not specify which airplane the pilot was flying. Before that, the Wall Street Journal, citing a U.S. official, wrote that a Ukrainian F-16 fighter jet was destroyed in a crash on Monday. Okay, so looks like the Pentagon doesn't want to get involved in investigating. I understand that. But I do have some unconfirmed information that I just kind of wanted to throw out there. I did hear some news that it was possible that the Russians may have shot down this F-16. Now, I'm not saying that is the case, but there was some talk about that on X, that maybe it actually was shot down. But at the same time, if it really was, I think the Russians would be bragging about this, and I think we would be hearing that some soldier that shot this down using Russian air defense would have been rewarded, because we know there's a lot of companies inside of Russia that were giving out awards or rewards, for the first F-16 shot down. So that's what makes me think that it probably is not true. But then we also heard some unconfirmed information that it could have been a Patriot missile that shot this thing down, because if this plane crashed, how was the pilot not able to eject? That's my question. We understood yesterday that it had crashed. I did not hear that information right away, that he supposedly was killed in the crash as well. But from what we understand, this pilot unfortunately did lose his life as he crashed in this F-16. So was it shot down out of the sky? Is that why he wasn't able to eject? Or was this pilot just very incompetent? Or did something else major happen that we don't know about? I have no idea, but I just wanted to share some of those details for you to give you some updates as to what may have happened here. Now, we don't know the exact details, but all we know is that it did crash, okay, inside of Ukraine. Also, moving on, Anton Gerashenko, Ukrainian pilot Alexei Mess, has died on August 26 during the massive Russian attack on Ukraine. He destroyed 3 cruise missiles and 1 attack drone. So apparently he was able to take down some of these missiles and drones that were coming into the country, which is a good thing. And also in the archive photo, Andrei Juice, and it says last name Pilshikov, I think is how you say that, and Alexei Moonfish Mess are conducting advocacy work to lobby Ukraine receiving F-16s. Okay, so I believe this looks like it was back during the pandemic, probably 2021 or 2022, somewhere around that time, leading into 2023 most likely. And it says here F-16s are in Ukraine thanks to their work as well. Eternal memory and eternal glory to Ukrainian heroes. Aircraft are metal. People are priceless and irreplaceable. So this was the pilot supposedly that had lost his life in that crash just on the 26th, which I believe was on Monday during that major missile and drone attack from Russia. So I just wanted to share that with you. This was the pilot that unfortunately lost his life, and that was him right there on CNN I'm assuming at least a year ago, if not further back, okay? So also, let's go ahead and keep moving now here to Anton Gerashenko again. Russian media are spreading panic that the armed forces of Ukraine allegedly want to strike Moscow, Sochi, and Russian cities where factories are located with Storm Shadow missiles. Third year of Russia's 3-day war, Russia is afraid of Ukrainian strikes on Moscow. All is going according to plan. Allegedly, the list of targets includes the fleet in Novorossiysk, Putin's residence in Sochi, air defense systems in Sevastopol, Crimea, defense and gunpowder factories, headquarters from the southern Russia to Moscow, and Moscow and St. Petersburg. Okay, and here's like a little picture that was put out. So yeah, apparently there's multiple targets here. We know that Volodymyr Zelenskyy recently came out and he said he was going to be providing a list to, I believe, was President Biden of the United States, to let him know what targets he wanted to go after, so maybe they can consider allowing these long-range strikes. Now, I don't know for sure if that's going to be the case, if they will be able to do so, but regardless, we know that Ukraine is creating and developing their own long-range weapons right now, but obviously they're not ready yet. If they were, I think they would already start launching them. So they're obviously still in the testing phase and making sure these things are going to be working right. And once they're ready, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 6 months or so we start seeing massive strikes all over Russia. Okay, so let's keep moving. Current report just in. Russian force captured the Stalmakovka, a village in the Luhansk region. Russian forces are making significant advances. Okay, and here's a picture of the Russian military. So current report coming out saying that Russian forces have captured yet another village on the eastern side of Ukraine, the Luhansk region. And again, we continue to see this. I want to give you an update from the Russian side as well. The Russians are pushing forward more and more every day. They might be small gains, but think about this. The longer this war goes on, are we seeing Ukraine putting a stop to the front on the eastern side? No, they are not. They are, if anything, having to fall back pretty frequently based on the information that I'm being given. We hear that they are repeatedly losing town after town. Now, it may be a slow-moving process for the Russians, but regardless, even if people want to joke and say this has taken 3 years, I mean, even if it takes 5 more years, imagine how much more land will be taken inside of Ukraine by then. So definitely, Russia's playing this out. They're playing the long game here, and even if it does take another several years, they may capture more territory regardless. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Also, let's move on now to Bliskovka. Putin gets assurances he won't be arrested in Mongolia on ICC warrant, which is International Criminal Court, says Bloomberg. The Kremlin leader's visit to Mongolia is scheduled for September 3rd, and it will be his first trip to an ICC member state since the arrest warrant was issued. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry has already responded. We call on the Mongolian authorities to execute the binding international arrest warrant and transfer Putin to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Yeah, arrest him and send him to the court. Pretty crazy, guys. So Vladimir Putin's going to be visiting Mongolia on September 3rd, and this country recognizes the International Criminal Court, and the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. I believe it was in March, somewhere between March and May of last year in 2023, and he's wanted for all these war crimes inside of Ukraine. And so what Vladimir Putin has been doing is not traveling to nations that recognize the ICC. Okay, so Mongolia happens to be one of those countries that do recognize the ICC, and they've come out publicly already stating they will not recognize this arrest warrant, and they will not try to arrest him, that he will be able to go there freely, and he should not be arrested as far as I know. But we'll see what happens. That's like 3-4 days from now, right? Also, I found some video footage here from War News PL. It says HIMARS time. So I haven't shown too many videos of these HIMARS in action. I wanted to show you guys because I thought this was actually a really cool video. Obviously, this is the Ukrainians firing these probably at Russian positions, but I thought it was really, really cool to see this thing in action. So go ahead and take a look at this.
Запаларат! Раз обстрелял нас! Запаларат, пидоры!
All right, isn't that kind of cool to see that? I mean, to see these rockets just taking off like that. Obviously, it's very loud whenever they take off, and makes me wish I could take one of these out to the gun range and fire one of these. I mean, it just seems really cool. Thought I'd lighten your guys' day up with that one. But let's go ahead and go to our next update here now from Nexta. Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter shoots down a Russian Shahed 136 with an air-to-air missile. Okay, so we just showed you guys a video the other day. There was another MiG, I forget which model it was, but another fighter jet shooting down a Shahed drone coming into their country. These are Iranian-made, and looks like we've got a video of an air-to-air missile taking out this air target over Ukraine. So take a look at this. All right, so we got this video up here for you. Unfortunately, there's no sound, but we can see this MiG-29 taking out this Shahed drone over the skies of Ukraine. There it is with that air-to-air missile, destroying that Shahed drone coming into the country. And this is a daily thing that the Ukrainians have to do. They have to constantly get up in the skies and try to defend themselves from these attacks from Russian missiles and primarily drones. Obviously, the drones are going to be a big one because they're very cheap, and Russia continuously fires multiples of these every single day into Ukraine. So big video coming out from there that I thought I'd share with you. So let's go ahead and move on here. To next, Slovakia and Hungary refuse to endorse Ukraine's strikes on Russian Federation with Western weapons, says Politico. We don't want more weapons in Ukraine. We don't want more deaths. We don't want an escalation of the war. Today, we continue to advocate for common sense and peace. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, I think it's Szijjártó, said. Okay, so this is big news. Hungary and Slovakia coming out and refusing to endorse Ukraine to strike inside of Russia using Western weapons. So they don't want to come out and be supportive of this at all. I mean, when it comes to Hungary, I know for sure that Hungary is very against a lot of this stuff. It almost appears as if they're on the side of Russia. At least many people could probably say that when it comes to Hungary. They've come out and tried to block many things, trying to be transferred over to Ukraine from NATO. And also we had Hungarian Prime Minister traveling over to Russia recently to meet with Putin, also to meet with Vladimir Zelenskyy inside of Ukraine. And then he also went to China to meet with Xi Jinping. And there was a lot of blowback when it comes to that too, because that appears as if the Hungarian Prime Minister is trying to help put an end to this war. But obviously the West, considering that they're making lots of money off this war at the same time, they wouldn't want this war to end just yet. At least that's how it appears, right? So big news coming out from Hungary and Slovakia that they're not going to endorse this ability for Ukraine to strike Russian airfields and go after targets deep inside their territory. Also, I want to take a look at this. From Nexta, the occupiers are building fortifications around a cemetery in Kursk, Kursk region. Ukrainian Telegram channels have published an aerial image allegedly taken near the village of Komyakino, about 9 kilometers from the Kursk nuclear power plant. So I thought this was very interesting. Why would they be digging fortifications around a cemetery? It's just what is the reason for this? I don't know if this is a major point that they expect to come under attack. Maybe that's why they're digging these trenches and these fortifications here, but I can already tell there's probably going to be a lot of memes coming out in regards to this. Why would they be building these fortifications right next to a cemetery? That just seems very strange to me, but I thought I'd share that as it does seem like some really weird news. So let's go ahead and keep moving here. Also from War News PL, General Staff of Ukraine claims that the attack on the aforementioned warehouse was a joint operation of the main intelligence Directorate of the Ministry of National Defense and the Special Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. And it also says right here the Russian oil depot Atlas in the Rostov region has been burning for 3 days. Okay, so this is mainly in regards to this Russian oil depot Atlas. We've been talking about this a lot. This is in the Rostov region. This is the second major oil depot that has come under attack in the last couple weeks. And this thing has been burning for 3 days now. We reported it, I think it was on Tuesday, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. And this thing originally had 2 oil tanks that were on fire. Now it moved to something like 4 to 6. So it looks like even 3 days later, this thing is still burning. Take a look. So crazy, right? 3 days later, this thing is still on fire, still burning, massive flame, lots of smoke in this region, in the Rostov region of Russia. So huge news coming out from there. It looks like this is going to be another oil facility that will be similar to the one in Prolatarsk back in last week that we reported in Rostov as well. That thing started out with just 1 or 2 oil tanks that eventually turned into 14 to 22 that caught on fire and were destroyed. So definitely another massive hit and another major loss to Russia's economy when it comes to their oil production. So a couple more posts to go over here from Nexta. IAEA head Rafael Grossi will visit Ukraine and Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant next week, said in a statement. The main purpose of the visit is to assess the current situation at the plant where nuclear safety remains unstable. Okay, so this is some big talk right now, okay? The nuclear power plants all over the place, everywhere in this war. There's the one up in Kursk region right now, in Kurchatov. We talked about that a few days ago. Rafael Grossi also visited that nuclear power plant. Now he's going to be heading over to Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant again. He was just there probably a couple months ago. And he's going to be assessing the safety situation of this plant too, make sure it has not been attacked in any kind of way or there's destruction of this facility, because we have heard of some of the power stations coming offline here recently due to some attacks. There was also some reports of the power getting cut here to this facility recently as well. I reported that to you guys. So definitely this power plant, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine, at risk of a potential nuclear incident as well. But I don't think it's as high of a risk as the one as we see in Kursk right now, because the one in Kursk doesn't even have a protective dome to defend itself from any kind of an attack, even simply just from a drone, okay? So definitely very scary in regards to nuclear power plants. Also, finally, from Nexta, breaking. From January 1st, 2025, the Druzhba oil pipeline through which Russian oil was delivered to Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia will cease to operate, advisor to the head of the office of President Podolyak. Okay, so here's these are the lines of the oil pipeline that runs from Russia on over to, as it says here, Hungary, Czech Republic, and also Slovakia. And from what I understand, I think Hungary is going to take the biggest hit here. And we have been seeing Viktor Orban coming out and talking about this lately, that they're going to be suffering big time, okay, when it comes to oil. They get a lot of their oil from Russia right now. So I'm sure Hungary is going to take the biggest hit. It makes me wonder, too, if that's another reason why he's not supportive of Ukraine striking inside of Russia, because obviously they got a lot of their supplies from Russia, and now they're not going to be getting anything. So this is once again many Western nations that are starting to pull themselves away from Russia, pull away from the Russian economy, stop supporting the Russian economy. We've been seeing this moving a little bit more each year. It obviously is not to the point that I think many Western nations would like, but at some point, I think they're definitely going to sever ties completely, or at least for the most part. And we are definitely moving in that direction. So that's going to be it for today's update, guys. I just wanted to share some of these details coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, but definitely lots and lots of major updates today. Some huge hits inside of Kharkiv. Again, and very unfortunate story that we had to share with you guys, but I think it's important that we understand where this war is going and how dangerous it is getting every single day. And we're still getting closer and closer to the point that Ukraine is going to be able to start striking inside of Russian territory, whether that be NATO weapons or whether that be Ukrainian domestic-made weapons. Let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.